Now, the UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, says it's alarmed by the levels of child hunger in Yemen. It was already one of the poorest countries in the world before the war even started. That was in March. And now, months of heavy fighting is really taking its toll on the most vulnerable. UNICEF says 96,000 children are starving and close to death in the port city of Hodeida. It's thought nearly 8,000 children will suffer from severe malnutrition in Aden in the next year. And almost 2 million children across the country don't have enough food nor water. OK, we can now talk to Jeremy Hopkins, who is the UNICEF chief in Yemen. He's joining us live from the capital, Sana'a. And the problems, they sound immense and they sound fairly extensive, not just for this generation, of course, but for the generation to come, because malnutrition doesn't go away with one meal, does it?
No, it doesn't. And as you just outlined, the recent results, what we've seen is a doubling, or in some cases tripling, of malnutrition levels for children under 5, who represent the next generation. We have 96,000 children who are at severe risk of death in Hodeida, and the 8,000 you mentioned in Aden. And that's just 2 governorates where we've managed to conduct these nutrition surveys in recent weeks, and they compare with pre-crisis levels very badly, in the sense that they've doubled or tripled. And the most recent time we had levels like this was in the 2011 crisis. So we're seeing a return of the malnutrition curse on Yemen, and it requires an urgent response.
And that urgent response should be what?
Well, we had a nutrition program prior to the crisis. What we're trying to do now is attack the nutrition crisis on a number of fronts. Now, when there's a malnutrition crisis, it's normally indicative of a failure across several sectors. So the health sector, obviously, the water sector, because dirty water causes diarrhea, which causes malnutrition, and the education sector, in the sense that mothers and parents and older siblings need to know how to look after the under 5 children to ensure that they stay clean and eat the right food. So we're working on all fronts, but with the ministry structures and the health clinics across the country, we're trying to treat those severely acutely malnourished children. So far this year, we've managed to reach 70,000 with a therapeutic food called plum peanut, which is peanut-based. And it's a very simple administration, it's a simple thing to administer. If a child can get that plum peanut, he or she will normally be able to be cured of malnutrition.
Yeah, this has had very good effects in other parts of the world, hasn't it? But are you taken aback by the speed with which Yemen has found itself in this position? It was only in March that the war started. We're now in September, and Yemen, as we've pointed out, was not rich to begin with. But the level of devastation and the deterioration of the health of the population is quite staggering.
It is. I mean, with under 5 children, the cycle, the health cycle on which they operate, moves much faster than it does for adults. And so acute malnutrition is different from stunting, which is another form of malnutrition, and can set in very, very quickly. If a child has diarrhea for a few consecutive days, he or she will start to lose weight and will soon become moderately malnourished, and if not treated, will then become severely malnourished, and then is at risk of any disease that might be out there, or can just simply die of diarrhea, if you like. So it's not really a surprise. I mean, we had these levels in 2011. We worked very hard with our partners in the Ministry of Health and other NGOs to reduce the levels of malnutrition, and succeeded to some extent. And it doesn't come as a surprise at all that, in fact, sadly, that in 6 months we're back down at the levels we had before.
Jeremy Hopkins of UNICEF in Yemen, thank you very much indeed.